Hi challengers, welcome to week 3 of the Better You in 2022 challenge. Today we're going to be talking about nutrition and how it impacts your bodies, where to get started if you want to kind of track your nutrition or just have better portions, and also give you a few mindset tips. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what are nutrients? They are broken down into macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are the nutrients your body needs in larger quantities that provide it energy in the form of calories. Macronutrients consist of proteins, carbs, and fats, but I also like to include fiber as well. Macros help create hormonal balance, optimize your recovery and your performance, and build more muscle mass. Macronutrients can be manipulated on the amount that every person needs, but this is based upon your goal, your genetics, what type of physique you want, and how your activity levels are. Micronutrients are the nutrients your body needs in smaller amounts, but they do have a big impact on your health, and we will talk about this later. But these just consist of vitamins and minerals. Both macronutrients and micronutrients are needed in the body by intaking whole food sources to help eliminate or lower nutrient deficiencies. So let's talk about the benefits of all the macronutrients. We'll start off with protein. 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories, so it's fairly lower calorie dense. Proteins are made up of amino acids, and our bodies need protein to live. So what else is important about it? Protein is what helps us rebuild your tissues and keeps your systems running, from your muscular and skeletal system to the nervous system and your immune system. Almost every function of the body needs at least some protein to function, manage, and continue working. We need protein for our enzymes in our body, skin and hair growth, and many hormones like metabolism, adrenaline, testosterone, and growth hormone. You need protein, and when it comes to changing your body composition, the biggest reasons are the following. Protein rebuilds your muscle tissue, which allows us to recover, train hard again, and build more muscle. The more muscle you build, the more fat your body will burn. Protein has a very high thermic effect of food, which that means that it takes more calories just to digest it. So you burn calories while you ingest your protein. This is just because protein is harder to break down in the body, so it takes your digestive system a little bit more to actually break it down. Protein is actually very hard to store in your body as fat. Many people do not know that, but it's smart to burn fat while consuming as many calories as possible, which makes having protein higher even more valuable because it is near impossible to store as body fat. There's definitely an upper limit to how much protein you should intake. So you can't just take in all the protein that you want day in and day out without feeling, very gassy and bloated and maybe having some digestive issues. So later on, we will go over just some recommendations of the amounts of protein you should have. Lastly, protein is actually the most satiating nutrient that you can consume because it takes longer in the body to break down and digest. So if you are dieting, protein is definitely something that you want in your diet because it will help keep you fuller for longer. So let's go on to carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, there's 1 gram of carbs is equal to 4 calories. So it is the same as protein, but a little bit lower. So that's why we can have a little bit higher number of carbs. Carbs help to produce ATP, which if you think of ATP as the gas in your car needs gas or ATP to operate, just like our bodies and our brains need carbs, your ATP, to perform and function every day. So if you ever tried any type of diet or anything and it's very low in carb, you may have noticed brain fog, or one day that you just haven't eaten much, you might have noticed that like you can't think right. Most likely it's because you don't really have that much carbs in your system and your brain is getting a little bit low on its fuel. So let's hear about carbs. So we do not technically need carbs to survive and go about your daily activities, but if you do want to perform well, Carbs are the body's primary fuel source when doing high intensity activities and making your muscles work. So especially if you are training in the gym, I highly recommend taking in carbs. Or if you are doing triathlons, marathons, I highly recommend making sure you are getting carbohydrates in. As I stated before, carbs are a big part of helping to produce ATP, which our bodies need for all types of activities. Carbs actually account for about 80% of the ATP production, so that's pretty high. And yeah, if you want to get bigger and stronger and have more muscle mass, carbs will also help you with that. They also aid in recovery. So even though protein is our main source of recovery fuel, carbs also help replenish muscle glycogen. So if you're planning to work out the next day or the next couple days, your body still does need carbohydrates to help replenish that. When it comes to hormonal health, carbs also play a big role. If you do not consume enough carbs, you risk negatively impacting hormones like your leptin, ghrelin, thyroid, and even your adrenals. Mainly hormones revolving around metabolism and energy or fatigue are the ones that are impacted by carbohydrates. So the easiest way also if you're intaking carbs, it also allows you to intake a little bit more fiber, which we will talk about in the next slide. But fiber really comes from a lot of sources of carbs, so I don't want to ever deem carbs as bad. All right, so we're going to go on to fats now. So if you notice, 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 calories. So fats are almost double, or actually a little bit more than double, what protein and carbs are. So they are definitely more calorie dense. And if you think of fats, think of things like nuts and peanut butter and avocados. A little bit of those foods go a long way. So that just kind of shows. But fats are crucial for hormonal health. So this is why, like fats, you need them in your diet. You need them in your everyday life. Do not take those out because your hormones will not work properly. Fats help absorb vitamins like A, D, E, and K, the ones that are fat-soluble vitamins. It's important for brain function and health. Your brain is actually made up of about 60% of fats as well. So your brain needs those carbs and those fats to work properly. Fats are the primer for our nervous system. We need adequate fat intake in our diets in order for your neurological system to fully function properly. Fat is a fuel source for certain things like walking around, doing slower activities, maybe doing housework every day, or even just sitting there and kind of doing desk work. So fats have their role, but they're not the type of source that you want if it comes into, you're wanting to lift really heavy in the gym or go do sprints or things like that. These are for more of your slower activities per se. All right, so now, like I said, I kind of add fiber into the whole macronutrients just because it is very important to intake enough fiber. So some of fiber's functions are that it promotes proper digestion, it helps improve your gut health, it helps lower your cholesterol, it actually improves blood sugar levels, helps reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, and it actually is shown to help reduce the risk of cancer. So just from those things alone, fiber is very important, and that's why I kind of count it as a macronutrient. Fiber recommendations vary for everyone, but I would say to aim for about 25 to 40 grams every day. If you go towards that upper limit, just be cautious. Make sure that your gut feels healthy, you don't feel super bloated or kind of backed up. So if you're going towards that higher upper limit, make sure to drink plenty of water so that constipation doesn't occur. And then below, I just put a few examples of higher fiber foods. These could be flax, chia seeds, berries are a great source, whole grains, quinoa, oats, brown rice, beans, legumes, potatoes with skin, peas, other vegetables, avocados, hemp hearts, whole wheat or sprouted grain breads, nuts, popcorn, etc. So hopefully you can find a couple options within that list to incorporate in your everyday diet. All right, so we're just going to touch briefly on micronutrients. So the big thing with micronutrients is they help us to have healthy organs, skin, hair, nails, eyesight. They aid in the development of our central nervous system. They provide tendon and ligament support and much more. So it goes to show that these smaller nutrients are very important. Really quick, minerals are actually broken down into two categories. Macro minerals, which consist of things like potassium, calcium, phosphorus, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, and magnesium. And many of these things are actually electrolytes, which are linked to your fluid intake. So if these are unbalanced, this could cause issues with your hydration, your recovery, and your performance. So make sure that you're kind of taking a peek at that and getting those macro minerals in. The other category is trace minerals. So this means that these are in smaller quantities that your body needs. And this consists of iron, copper, iodine, selenium, cobalt, and more. The other micronutrient is your vitamins, and these too are broken down into two categories. The first one is fat soluble. These are your vitamins A, D, E, and K. As I mentioned before when I was talking about fat, your body needs to have fat in it or fat from a meal when you're taking in these vitamins because that's the main way that these will be absorbed and utilized. So make sure that if you're taking any of these vitamins, say like your vitamin D supplement, especially if you live in an area that is gloomy or sun isn't out as much or you can't go outside, make sure that you're taking your vitamin D supplement with some type of fat source, whether it be, some avocado or peanut butter, nuts, whatever you want. The next one is water soluble vitamins. So these are all vitamin Bs. There's about 8 different categories of those, and vitamin C. So these also need to be taken with water so that they are better absorbed and utilized with the assistance of by drinking your water. So let's talk about just a couple ways to figure out your calorie and macronutrient needs. The best way that I would recommend, and I know it may be a little bit tedious, but is to actually weigh and track your food intake and be honest. Don't just all of a sudden eat super well and really watch your portions. Like try to be actually legit with yourself and track the food that you have been eating for at least 1 to 2 weeks, but also kind of track your weight along with that just to determine what your average calorie and macronutrient intake are. Um, what you do is you just find, your calories for every single day, your weight for every single day, kind of average out the two and see where you're at, like weight wise for the average, and then where you are at with calorie wise for the average. And if you look at your macronutrients, if you are pretty even with those every day, I would say then aim for intaking those amounts of proteins, carbs, and fats as well. Otherwise, I mean, you can definitely utilize something like the Mifflin-St. Jeor equation, which you can find online, or there are other online calculators to help you determine your estimated calorie intake. I mean, gosh, the internet has so much these days, so you guys can definitely kind of find something on there. But Mifflin-St. Jeor has been proven to be very accurate. So any of those online calculators should take into account like your BMR, but also your activity levels. So again, when I say be honest from above, I want you to also be honest with your activity levels and think about like how much am I really moving and how hard do I really work in the gym or outside of the gym or run. So very honest with this. Don't try to be a superhero and make everything seem so high and perfect. So you want to be honest because then that's the best way that you will figure out your calorie needs. So let's just talk about these macronutrient ranges. They are just ranges. Again, they are very variable from person to person, but a range for protein would be about 0.7 to 1.3 grams per pound of body weight. So if you wanted to try to figure out where you might be in the middle, you could go somewhere around like the 0.9 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. That could be a good starting point and see how your body feels. If you're barely taking that in, I would say then do not try to hit that right away. Try to work your way up slowly after a couple weeks and build up to that protein amount just so your body can kind of adjust to that. Carbs, again, these are very, very variable with this. It all depends on your activity levels, your genetics, how you want your body composition to look and all of that. So it's a big range, but I would say around 15 to 40% of your total daily calories. So definitely figure out your protein first, and then I'd actually figure out probably fats next, and then go with, or sorry, protein first, and then actually, yes, carbs, and then your last thing would be fats that you want to look at. Fats will also vary. They can vary from anywhere between 25 to 35% of your total daily calories. But again, this could actually be lower or higher depending on your own self, your goals, if you have any medical history, things that you need to kind of take into account. So again, you guys, these are just generalized ranges. Okay, these are not the end all be all, but a good starting point. So, what is the best diet for you? I really don't like the word diet, and I probably shouldn't have put that in there, but let's just use it for the sake of using it. So, the best diet for you is the one that actually works for you. If you love carb type of foods, why would you eliminate carbs? You're not going to stick to it very well or for very long. I can guarantee you that. So the diet should fit your lifestyle. Your lifestyle shouldn't be based upon the diet, okay? And you should choose something that makes you feel really good, like makes your body feel really good. Not just like, oh, this one made me lose the most weight, or, like I saw an article the other day on lose 39 pounds in 21 days. You guys, let me tell you, that's not sustainable. So please watch what you are doing. Focus on balance. That's the biggest thing. Like, do not let any foods be off limits. Make sure that whatever diet you're on, it incorporates daily activity because that's also another big plus. Um, but yeah, the best diet for you is the one that you can see yourself still doing 20 years from now or more. So just be cautious, okay? Don't just go with the fad diets just because it sounds cool or you want to be part of a group or whatever it is. Like, go for something that actually fits your lifestyle. So, my ending note are a few ways to create sustainability. So, these should be things that you can do from now until 20 years later. So, always aim for around eating 1 to 3 servings of fruits, 2 to 4 servings of greens and fibrous vegetables. Again, we talked about how important those micronutrients are. So, hey, right there are 2 ways to get some of your micronutrients in. Do not eat like a child. So many times I see people being like, well, I just ate this because I wanted it. Sometimes you need to think about what your body needs versus just what you want. So focus on, like, yeah, not every day you might not want to eat vegetables, but just get them in. Do it maybe right away in the morning to get a serving in because your body needs them. Okay, so don't always think about, oh, well, I just don't want it. Think about, okay, wait, no, I know my body needs it to function properly and to be healthier, so I'm just going to eat it. Okay, um, focus on more whole foods over processed foods. I'm not against processed foods. I think there are a time and place for them because they are fun and they are pretty darn tasty. I will give you that. But maybe just aim for around like the 80 to 90% of adherence to more whole foods over processed. So allow your everyday nutrition to have 10 to 20% of those fun foods, okay? Make sure they kind of fit in there and you're not overindulging. Focus on proper rest, recovery, and stress management. And this can come through, making sure you're taking off days, making sure you're getting proper sleep, um, and not always like go, go, go. Sometimes we just need to relax and chill out and be kind to our bodies. Make sure to drink your water. I always say to aim for a minimum of half your body weight in ounces of water. Water is crucial also for your rest and recovery and to help your muscles perform the way they need to. So please make sure to drink your water. Fun fact, really quick, women are made up of about 45 to 50% of water, and males are made up of about 50 to 60% because you guys have more muscle mass. So it is very crucial to intake your water. And lastly, really focus on a positive mindset around food. Do not just, go all in or all out with your food. Be like, oh nope, I can't have any fun foods. I can't have, these off limit foods. No food is off limits. All foods are allowed, but just focus on the things that your body needs first, and then allow yourself to have those fun foods. Okay, if you create a negative relationship around food, you will not have a very fun time trying to create sustainability within your everyday nutrition. All right, you guys, well, I hope you enjoyed, and good luck with the rest of the challenge.